From London, Ontario, London, England, rather. Okay, folks. We begin today the 20th letter. A very famous and unique letter. There's a lot of abstract ideas here. This was written by the Alter Rebbe several days before his passing. And it is... But the issue of this physical world, as opposed to the spiritual worlds, where does it come from? Well, everything comes from God, of course. But in what manner does it come from God? What we know of in this world is Ila va'olol, cause and effect. The concept of cause and effect is, well, I'm thinking something, and from that thought that causes, from the effect of thought, speech. The speech is directly linked to the thought. Light is directly linked to its source, the source of light, luminary, sun, rays of sun, light bulb, right? That gives light in the... So it's directly connected. The cause is not that much different than the effect. The effect is not that much different than the cause. They're linked, and that's called Seder Shtalshelus, cause and effect relationship. If then there is yesh mi'ayin, something from nothing. Just as God, nothing preceded him, nothing created God, obviously. Nothing precedes him. When he creates something from nothing, the existence doesn't sense its source because it's not cause and effect, not direct link. We call it nothing because it's beyond our comprehension, beyond our experience. To us, it's like nothing, even though it's from God himself, the essence of God. So that which comes from the essence of God, of something from nothing, that only God has the capability of doing that, then that which it creates has a sense of total independence because it doesn't sense its source, again, as cause and effect. I know that what I'm speaking is something that I think, thought before, thinking now. I know when I see, when it's sunny outside, I know that those rays of sun have a source where they came from. Sensing its source. So what we have over here is something unique. This world is created, the physical world, the physicality of the world as opposed to the spiritual, is created something from nothing, yesh mi'ayin. And as a result of a creation, something from nothing, this physical world has a sense like when you look at it, it's independent. Of course, you can see the presence of God in nature. But that's the spirit of it, not the physicality of it. I'm talking about the physicality of it. Not the symmetry of nature. Not the, put a leaf under the microscope and you can see, or put the human body under the microscope and you see the unbelievable workings of nature, God's nature, that God instituted or brought into the physical reality. But that's not the physicality of it. That's kind of the spirit of it. We're talking about the physicality of it is coming from not the ray of light of God, not a cause and effect, which cause and effect is. And so the spiritual realm, in a sense, is more connected, but it's connected to the externality, so to speak, of the divine in cause and effect. So it senses its source, and therefore it's nullified to its source. So souls, angels, spiritual realities are sensing the light, the source, and in that sense they're more nullified, but that's only the light of creation, of the divine. This physical world doesn't come from that light. It comes from the essence of God himself. As only God himself has the capability of creating something from nothing, coming from him. Hence, as we said, is this world in a delusional way we feel is independent. Again, I'm not talking about that you sense a spirit of the divine and the symmetry of nature. That's not the physicality of it. That's kind of the spirit within the physical. I'm talking about the physical of the physical. This principle that we're learning now is actually something brand new, unique. So much so that when Chassidim understood, and we're going to see it's a very abstract teaching that's going to get us there. I'm just kind of laying the groundwork, so make sure that we have clarity on what we're saying here before we go further. Gave such a renewed dedication, appreciation for mitzvahs in the physical. Wearing tzitzis and making sure that they're proper, they're kosher. Tefillin, physical acts of mitzvahs. This is unique. And again, led to a new, renewed vigor in the physical act of doing the mitzvah. Why? Because the creation of those physical things come from God himself, not the ray of light of God, which is by way of cause and effect, but by God himself. Now, you might say, well, wow, this is a new principle? Didn't we learn this in chapter 35 in the first part of Tanya, where we spoke there that that the whole point is to do mitzvahs in the act of doing the mitzvah? So we can make a distinction. There, it was speaking about the ultimate intent of God. He wants a dwelling place in this world. So this low world, rather. This low world. And what's the low of this world? Is the world of action, in the physical. So taking a physical object, right? But there it was more that the tool of the mitzvah, or so rather the physical act of doing a mitzvah, is, so to speak, a tool or a conduit to fulfill the ultimate desire of God that involves action. But it doesn't express the superiority of the physical object itself. The object itself is only a means to fulfill God's desire of a dwelling place in this world. That's what we understood till now. We're splitting a hair over here, but it's a big, big distinction. In other words, till now we understood that action relates to God's desire and intent. Right? that God's intent is a dwelling place in this low world, and through action, you, in the physical, again, tzitzis, tefillin, Shabbos candles, and right, and all the physical actions of mitzvahs, fulfill the ultimate objective. Here we're giving a different angle to it. We're saying more, that the physical object has a superiority because it is a creation of something from nothing, ex nihilo, yesh mi'ayin. And therefore, the performance of a mitzvah through it has something unique and superior, not as a means, so to speak, to the divine intent merely, but the divine intent is in the physical object. So this is something unique. Again, because this derives directly from God himself, therefore the practical commandments in that sense are superior than the thoughts, the speech, the intent that we have in the commandments. So this is all a preview into what we're going to go into. Again, this is a kind of lofty, abstract teachings that will get us there. We'll work together to make sure we have as best an understanding as we can. All right, let's go into today's teachings. This is called Iyo v'chayeyu chad, this letter, because that's how it begins, which means this Aramaic words. Iyo means he, God, v'chayehu, and his life-giving emanations are one. This refers to the light of the spheros. Spheres are divine emanations, divine attributes, 10 of them. Chabad, Chachma, Bina, V'das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and the 7 emotional, right? So what makes a sphera is light and vessel. So Iyo v'chayehu chad, he and his light, life-giving emanation, which is light, is one. Iyo b'garmeu chad, and he and his causations he and his vessels are also one. So just like the human life is made up of body and soul, so likewise divine emanations, divine attributes, the spheros, as they're called, are made up of, we don't call them body and soul, we call them light and vessel. That's how the Kabbalists term it, right? This is the 10 divine attributes. Now, both the light and the vessel of the divine attributes are divinity in the world of Atzilus. The vessels are not divine in the worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. Now, we need to understand this. How is it possible that a divine attribute, which Chachma, divine wisdom, even we call it divine wisdom, but it's Chachma. It's limited. It's got a definition, hence finite. It's our Bina, and Bina is our Chachma. So we need to understand, how could they be one with the limitlessness of God, which we call Ein Sof? How's that possible? Finite and... Again, each sphera is distinct. Its distinct entity means it's different than the other sphera. Then by definition, it's finite. How could it be one with the infinite that transcends any particular identity? So first of all, before we even answer that question, what does it mean that there's the finite of God, which is divine attributes, right? So it's explained that God is the most complete and perfect of all beings, which we understand that. So for God to be complete means that he cannot just be infinite. He also has to have the power of finitude, right? Otherwise that would diminish his perfection. Therefore, his finitude is a self-imposed limitation, right? As opposed to my limitations. Are not self-imposed. They've been imposed upon me because I create myself. God creates me. He creates me with limitations. But God doesn't have any limitations. He doesn't even have the limitation of being capable of limitation. Again, that's a self-imposed limitation to express himself through the spheros, and specifically the kalim, the vessel, because it's the vessel that gives the definition. Just, the light is abstract, and a light goes through a green cup. So then you'll get green color. Goes through a red, you'll get a red. You go blue, we'll get blue, and so on. So it's the vessel that gives the definition. So therefore, the kalim are limited and finite. The question then is, how could it be one with the infinite? Why it has to be that way, we understand, because God has no diminishing, nothing diminishing his perfection. So therefore, if he was only infinite, well, that means if he can't express himself in self-limitation, that means there's a limitation. Can't say that. Therefore, he has both. But the question then, now, where we return to our question is, the kalim are limited and finite. How can they be one with the Ein Sof, which transcends all bounds in identity and finitude? So Alter Rebbe explains, the intention about this statement, that the Ein Sof is one with the kalim, with the vessels in particular, because that's the self-limiting power of the sphera, is in order that they become divine in regard to being the conduit to carry out creation, something from nothing, and therefore capable of doing it. Because remember, only the Creator has the capability of creating something from nothing. If all of humanity got together and tried to produce a wing of a gnat and vest it with a soul, right, of a living being, wouldn't be able to. Incapable. Because this is only the power of God. We find in teachings that speaks about the spheres that are a cause and effect. So Alter Rebbe explains that that's only between the spheres themselves. In other words, divine Chachma evolves from there. I've been mentioned before, we believe in evolution within the creation, in the spiritual realm. Not that there's a physical evolution. We do not come from the monkey, from the ape. At least from both sides of my family, not. But that evolution does exist, meaning cause and effect, from Chachma to Bina, from Bina, Chachma and Bina together to Das, from Das into the divine emotions, and so on and so forth. So there is the Seder Hishtalshelus, the world of chain reaction, which is cause and effect, right? One link connected with the link above. In other words, the link below is caused by the link above. So absolutely that does exist. However, even in that cause and effect, that's only between in the divine order. But this physical world is not cause and effect. It's something from nothing. And just as God is Ein Sof, is beyond our comprehension, so likewise, ultimately, we cannot grasp the inner divine spheres, divine attributes. We cannot comprehend the essence of it as it is one with the divine, and just as we can't. And this is what it means. It's when God says to Moses, "My face you will not see," meaning my inwardness of the divine attributes, let alone Ein Sof, but even the divine attributes, that you cannot perceive. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was only able to perceive the lower levels of the divine attributes, Netzachod and Yesod, but the higher levels in the internal aspect of them, he was not capable of. Now, if this physical world were to be created from cause and effect, then we wouldn't have a physical reality of the physical nature of this world. We would have the spirit of animals on a spiritual level, but not physical animals. Only through something from nothing. I hope that was clear, because that was the easy part. More difficult stuff coming your way. All right. Let me see if there's any questions, any comments. I don't see. All right, folks. Sharing is caring. Please share with others. Incidentally, I'm going to give a class Wednesday night for those who are interested in. Sunday was holiday, so the next few weeks will be Wednesday nights. If you're interested to find out, private message me your email. We're growing our email list to let people know of other things, and with some more good stuff around the bend. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the time. Have a wonderful day.